The transport shuttle landed softly on the glass platform. Steam hissed from its engines as the doors slid open. Students from 100 different worlds watched with curious eyes. They had heard the rumors. A human was coming to Prime Academy. The first human ever. Park stepped out of the shuttle. She was small. Her black hair fell past her shoulders and her dark eyes looked around calmly. She carried only a worn backpack on her shoulder, nothing else. The other students towered over her. They stood at 8 feet tall with 6 powerful arms and skin like polished stone. They glowed with soft light, their bodies made of living energy. They floated slightly above the ground, their large heads pulsing with telepathic power. And then there was a human girl, 5 feet and 4 inches. No claws, no wings, no extra limbs, no natural weapons of any kind. A group of students laughed loudly. "This is the human," one of them said. "She looks like prey." Heard them, she did not react. She simply adjusted her backpack and walked toward the main building. The crystalline towers of the academy stretched high into the purple sky. Everything here was beautiful and alien. Took it all in with quiet interest. Instructor waited at the entrance. He was an old with gray patches on his stone-like skin. He had taught at the academy for 300 years and had seen students from every corner of the galaxy. But he had never seen a human before. "You are Park," he said. It was not a question. "Yes," she replied. "Follow me." He led her through the winding halls. Other students stopped to stare. Some whispered, some pointed. A few laughed behind their hands. Noticed that the human girl did not seem bothered by any of it. Her heartbeat remained steady. Her breathing stayed calm. Interesting. "You have been assigned to Dormitory 7, said. "It is for students who need extra support." He meant it was for the weak ones. The ones expected to fail understood this. She nodded anyway. "Your roommate is a named Lyra. She will help you adjust." They stopped at a small door, pressed his palm against the panel, and it slid open. The room inside was simple. 2 beds, 2 desks, a window that looked out at the stars. Lyra was already there. She was which meant her body was made of glowing light contained in a vaguely humanoid shape. She looked up when entered, and her light flickered with amusement. "So you are the human," Lyra said. "I thought you would be bigger." "Sorry to disappoint," said. Left them alone. Lyra circled around slowly, examining her like a scientist studying a strange insect. "Your planet is classified as a death world," Lyra said. "Class 12, very dangerous. Most species cannot survive there for more than an hour." "It is home," said simply. "How did your kind even develop intelligence? Everything on your planet wants to kill you. The animals, the weather, even the plants." Set her backpack on her bed. "We learned to kill them first." Lyra's glow flickered again. She was not sure if the human was joking. "I give you 1 week," Lyra said. "Maybe 2. Then you will go back to your death world. This academy breaks everyone who does not belong." Did not argue. She simply began unpacking her few belongings. That evening, all new students gathered in the great hall for orientation. The hall was massive, with ceilings so high they disappeared into shadow. Thousands of students sat in floating chairs arranged in a wide circle. At the center stood the headmaster, an ancient being of pure thought who had no physical body. "Welcome to Prime Academy," the headmaster's voice echoed in every mind. "You are the finest young minds from across the galaxy. Here, you will be tested. You will be challenged. Many of you will fail. Those who remain will shape the future of civilized space." One by one, new students were called to introduce themselves. They spoke of their planets, their abilities, their achievements. A young named Minu demonstrated his telepathic powers by lifting a massive stone block with his mind. A named crushed that same block with one hand. The crowd cheered for each display of power. Then's name was called. She walked to the center of the hall. Thousands of alien eyes watched her. Some were curious. Most were mocking. A few were hungry, like predators watching wounded prey. "I am Park," she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "I am from Earth. I am here to learn." Silence. Then laughter. It started small and grew until the whole hall was echoing with it. A human at Prime Academy. It was absurd. It was a joke. Stood in the center of that laughter. She did not flinch. She did not look away. She waited until the noise faded, and then she walked back to her seat. Lyra leaned toward her. "That was pathetic. You did not even show a single ability." "I showed one," said. "What?" "Patience." Lyra did not understand. None of them did. They saw a small, weak creature from a primitive world. They saw prey. They did not see what really was. Later that night, stood at her window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, her home, a planet of fire and ice, of earthquakes and hurricanes, of predators and poison, a world that had tried to kill her ancestors every single day for millions of years. And her ancestors had refused to die. They had learned to run farther than any animal could chase. They had learned to think faster than any predator could hunt. They had learned to work together, to plan, to adapt, to overcome. Came from a long line of survivors. She carried their strength in her blood, their stubbornness in her bones, their fire in her heart. The galaxy thought humans were weak because they had never seen a human fight for survival. They had only seen humans at peace. That was about to change. Closed her eyes and let out a slow breath. Tomorrow, the entrance examinations would begin. Tomorrow, everyone would see what a human could really do. She smiled softly. She could not wait. The morning sun rose red over Prime Academy. It was examination day. Every new student had to prove their worth or face immediate removal from the academy. There were no second chances. Woke before dawn. She stretched her body slowly, feeling each muscle come alive. On Earth, she had trained every day since she was a child, running through forests, climbing mountains, fighting in dojos. Her body was not impressive to look at, but it was a weapon built over years of hard work. Lyra was still asleep, her glow dim in rest mode, dressed quietly and left the room. The examination grounds were located behind the main building. A massive arena stretched across several kilometers, filled with obstacles that shifted and changed. Thousands of students gathered at the starting line. Instructors watched from floating platforms above. Instructor approached the crowd. His voice boomed across the arena. "Today you will face 3 trials: the gravity walk, the mind puzzle, the hunt. Your performance will determine your ranking for the entire year. Those who rank in the bottom 10% will be sent home immediately." Whispers spread through the crowd. Everyone was nervous, everyone except. She stood calmly at the edge of the group, watching the arena. She studied the obstacles. She noted the patterns of movement. She calculated distances and angles in her mind. This was what humans did. They observed, they planned, they adapted. The first trial began. The gravity walk was a long path that passed through zones of shifting gravity. In some areas, gravity was 10 times normal. In others, it reversed completely. Students had to reach the end without falling off the path. Used their raw strength to push through. Adjusted their energy forms to compensate. Used telekinesis to stabilize themselves. Just walked. Her body made tiny adjustments with every step. Her sense of balance, developed over millions of years of human evolution, kept her upright. When gravity pulled her down, she bent her knees and lowered her center. When it pushed her sideways, she leaned into it. When it reversed, she grabbed the path with her hands and pulled herself along. She did not have special powers. She did not have technology. She had something older, something deeper. Instinct. Instructor watched the human girl move through the gravity zones. His sensors showed something strange. Her body was making corrections faster than her conscious mind could process. It was pure reflex, pure survival programming built into every cell of her being. "Interesting," he muttered. Finished the gravity walk in the top 20%. Students who had laughed at her yesterday now watched her with confusion. The second trial was the mind puzzle. Students entered a virtual space where they had to solve complex problems under time pressure. The problems included mathematics, logic, pattern recognition, and spatial reasoning. Minyu, the young, finished first. His telepathic brain could process information at incredible speeds, struggled with the abstract concepts but used her determination to push through. Many students failed completely, their minds unable to handle the pressure. Sat in the virtual space with her eyes closed. The problems appeared in her mind one after another. She did not try to solve them with pure logic like the others. Instead, she let her brain do what human brains did best. She looked for patterns. Human beings had evolved to see patterns everywhere, in the movement of prey, in the changing of seasons, in the behavior of enemies. This ability had kept them alive on Earth. Now it helped see connections that other species missed. The math problems became puzzles, the logic tests became games, the spatial challenges became maps. She finished in the top 15%. Now students were truly watching her. Something was not right. This human was supposed to be weak. She was supposed to fail, but she kept moving forward. The third trial was the hunt. Students were placed in a simulated wilderness and told to survive against a virtual predator. The predator was designed to be nearly impossible to defeat. It was fast, strong, and intelligent. Most students were expected to simply survive as long as possible before being eliminated. Students entered the simulation one by one. Average survival time was 4 minutes. The named lasted 9 minutes through sheer strength. Minyu lasted 7 minutes by hiding and using his telepathy to confuse the predator. A half with telekinetic abilities managed 8 minutes. Then it was turn. The simulation placed her in a dark forest. Strange trees with purple leaves surrounded her. The ground was soft and uneven. Somewhere in the shadows, the predator was watching. Did not run, she did not hide. She crouched low and touched the ground. She felt the soil between her fingers. She listened to the sounds of the forest. She smelled the air. The predator was nearby. She could sense it. On Earth, humans had been prey for millions of years, but they had refused to accept that role. They had learned to fight back. They had learned to hunt the hunters. The predator lunged from the shadows. It was massive, with claws like swords and teeth like daggers. Any other student would have frozen in fear. Moved. She did not move away from the predator. She moved toward it. Her body twisted at the last moment, avoiding the claws by inches. Her hand found a broken branch on the ground. In one motion, she drove it into the predator's eye. The creature screamed and pulled back, did not give it time to recover. She attacked again and again, finding weak points, exploiting openings, never giving the predator a chance to use its superior strength. 3 minutes later, the predator was dead. Stood over its body, breathing hard. Her clothes were torn, her arms were scratched, but she was alive and the predator was not. In the observation room, the instructors stared at their screens in shock. "She killed it," one of them whispered. "She actually killed it." "Impossible," another said. "That simulation is designed to be unbeatable." Instructor said nothing. He was looking at its biometric data. Her heart rate had increased during the fight, but not as much as expected. Her body had produced massive amounts of adrenaline, a chemical that would have killed most species in such quantities. And throughout the entire hunt, she had been smiling. Not a smile of joy, a smile of focus, a smile of purpose. A smile of a predator. The examination ended. Rankings were posted on a massive screen in the arena. Students crowded around to see their positions. Stood near the back, waiting. She already knew she had done well. She did not need to see the numbers. Lyra pushed through the crowd and found her. This glow was flickering rapidly with confusion and something else. Fear. Third, Lyra said. You ranked third. Behind and ahead of thousands of students with powers and abilities that should have made the competition impossible. Third repeated, not bad. Lyra grabbed her arm. How, you have no powers, no enhancements, nothing. How did you do this? Looked at her roommate. For a moment, something ancient flickered in her dark eyes, something hungry, something dangerous. Humans do not need powers, she said quietly. We are the power. She walked away, leaving Lyra standing alone in the crowd. Around the arena, students whispered to each other. They had seen something today that they did not understand. A creature from a death world had walked into their academy and shown them something terrifying. Humans were not prey. They had never been prey. And now, everyone was beginning to realize what that meant. Weeks passed at Prime Academy, attended her classes. She studied. She trained. She kept to herself mostly, speaking only when necessary. But everyone was watching her now. The human girl who had ranked third in the entrance examination. The girl who had killed the unkillable predator. Students began to notice strange things about her. During exam week, the academy ran continuous tests for 5 days straight. Most students required regular sleep breaks. They needed at least 4 hours every night. They had to enter dim mode to recharge their energy. Even the powerful required mental rest to maintain their abilities. Did not sleep at all. For 50 hours she stayed awake. She studied. She took tests. She trained in the combat rooms. And on the morning of the 5th day she showed no signs of fatigue. Her mind was sharp. Her body was steady. Her performance was perfect. Lyra watched her roommate with growing unease. How are you doing this? She asked. No species can function without rest for this long. Humans can go without sleep for a few days, said calmly. It is not comfortable, but it is possible. Our ancestors had to stay awake to guard against predators. A few days, that would kill most beings. Yes, but not us. In biology class, students learned about nutrition and the foods different species required to survive. The instructor, a being made entirely of crystal, demonstrated various substances that were toxic to different races. This compound, the instructor said, holding up a small container, is lethal to most carbon-based life forms. Even a small amount will cause immediate organ failure. The instructor passed the container around so students could examine it. When it reached, she looked at it carefully. This is capsaicin, she said. You recognize it? Yes, humans eat this for pleasure. We put it on our food to make it taste better. The entire class went silent. That is impossible, the instructor said. This substance triggers extreme pain responses in all known species. In humans too, agreed. We like the pain, it makes the food more interesting. A student dropped the container he was holding. It shattered on the floor and everyone jumped back in fear. Did not move. Your species eats poison for fun, Lyra said later that day. Actual poison. We also drink a substance that kills brain cells and damages our organs, said. We call it alcohol. It makes us happy. That is insane. Yes, probably. During combat training, students sparred with each other under careful supervision. Injuries were common but usually minor. The academy had advanced medical technology that could heal almost any wound quickly. Was paired against a named. He was large even for his species, with 4 arms that could crush stone. He looked at the small human girl and laughed. Try not to break too easily, he said. They fought, was strong and fast, but he fought with patterns. He moved the same way over and over again, noticed this immediately. She let him hit her a few times, learning his rhythm. Each blow hurt badly, but she did not fall. Then she struck back. Her attacks were precise and brutal. She targeted nerve clusters, joint connections, soft tissue. places where even were vulnerable, was not prepared for this. Humans were supposed to be weak. The fight ended with on the ground, unable to move. But was injured too. Her left arm was broken. Her ribs were cracked. Blood ran down her face from a cut on her forehead. The medical team rushed forward to help both students. They expected to need weeks of recovery. 3 days later, her bones had healed. 5 days later, she was training again. Impossible, the medical officer said, reviewing her scans. Her body is regenerating at a rate we have never seen in any species. Human bodies are designed to heal, explained. We evolved to survive injuries and keep fighting. A broken bone will not stop us. The medical officer looked at her with something close to fear. What will stop you? Smiled, she did not answer. Minyu the Young became curious about the human. He had heard the stories, but he wanted to understand her for himself. Were telepaths. They could read minds, sense emotions, and even control weaker beings. One day, he sat next to in the library. She was reading a book about galactic history, making notes in the margins with a primitive writing tool. May I try something? Minyu asked politely. Looked at him, she knew what he was. She knew what he wanted. Go ahead, she said. Minyu reached out with his mind. He touched the surface of her thoughts gently at first, then pushed deeper. He pulled back immediately, gasping for air. What was that? He demanded, trembling. What do you mean? Your mind, it is chaos. Thousands of thoughts running at once, memories layered on memories, emotions tangled together. How do you function like this? Tilted her head. Humans think this way. We have many thoughts at the same time. We feel many emotions at once. It helps us make decisions quickly. It is overwhelming. I could not stay inside for more than a second. Most species find our minds uncomfortable. Minyu looked at her with new respect and new fear. You are not just physically different from us. Your entire way of thinking is alien. To you, yes, said. To me, you are the aliens. Word of Minyu's experience spread quickly. The human girl could not be read by telepaths. Her mind was too chaotic, too complex, too wild. Some students called it a weakness. Others recognized it for what it was, a defense mechanism evolved over millions of years. The noble who had ranked second in the entrance examination began to take notice. She had watched since the first day, and she did not like what she saw. Humans were supposed to be inferior. That was what everyone believed. That was what history taught. But this human kept proving everyone wrong. One day, during a field exercise on a hostile moon, their team was ambushed by wild creatures. The moon was used for survival training, and the creatures were dangerous but not supposed to be lethal. Something had gone wrong. The beasts were larger than expected, more aggressive. Students panicked. They ran, they screamed for help. Did not run. She grabbed a broken piece of metal from a destroyed equipment pod. It was sharp on one end, heavy on the other. A primitive weapon, a human weapon. The creatures attacked, fought. She moved like something from an ancient nightmare, fast, brutal, merciless. One creature bit her arm, drawing blood. She did not stop. She drove her weapon into its skull and moved to the next enemy, and the next, and the next. When help finally arrived, the creatures were dead, all of them. Stood in the middle of the carnage, covered in blood, both hers and theirs. Her arm was badly wounded, but she was still standing, still breathing, still ready to fight. Approached her slowly. "What are you?" she asked. The question was quiet, almost reverent. Looked at her, blood dripped from her fingers. "I am human," she said. "We come from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. The weather tried to kill us. The animals tried to kill us. The plants tried to kill us. Disease tried to kill us. We learned to fight back. We learned to survive. We learned to win." She began bandaging her wound with calm efficiency. "The galaxy calls Earth a death world," continued. "But we do not see it that way. We call it home. and it made us into something the galaxy has never seen before. Understood then. The galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They had looked at humans and seen small, soft, weak creatures without natural weapons or special abilities. They had not understood that humans themselves were the weapon. Every human was a survivor. Every human carried millions of years of evolution designed for one purpose: to stay alive no matter what. And now, a human had come to the galaxy's most elite academy. Everything was about to change. His reputation grew with each passing week. Students who had once mocked her now stepped aside when she walked through the halls. Instructors watched her with a mixture of fascination and concern. She had become something unexpected, something that did not fit into the galaxy's understanding of how things worked. This made her enemies. Was the top-ranked student at Prime Academy. He came from one of the most powerful families in the galaxy. His ancestors had ruled star systems for thousands of years. His body had been enhanced with the finest genetic modifications money could buy. His mind had been sharpened by the best tutors in civilized space. He had never lost anything in his entire life. And he hated Park. Not because she had defeated him in any competition. She had not. He was still ranked first, and she was ranked third. But her existence challenged everything he believed. If a primitive human from a death world could compete with the galaxy's elite, what did that say about his own achievements? What did that say about the natural order? Decided to destroy her. He challenged her to the Crucible. The Crucible was an ancient tradition at the Academy. A formal duel between two students, fought until one could no longer continue. It had not been invoked in 300 years because modern students considered it barbaric, but it was still legal, still binding. Received the challenge during evening meal. A holographic message appeared before her, Bering's family seal. "I challenge you to the Crucible," the message said. "Tomorrow at sunset, in the grand arena. Accept or be forever marked as a coward." The dining hall fell silent. Everyone knew what the Crucible meant. Lyra grabbed his arm. "You cannot accept this. We'll kill you. He has combat implants worth more than entire planets. His reflexes are enhanced to superhuman levels. His bones are reinforced with metal alloys. You have none of these things." "I know," said. "Then refuse. No one will blame you." Looked at the message floating in the air. She thought about Earth. She thought about her ancestors who had faced predators 100 times their size with nothing but rocks and sticks. She thought about humans who had crossed frozen wastelands and burning deserts. She thought about all the times her species had been told they could not survive, and they had survived anyway. "I accept," she said. The entire dining hall exploded with noise. Students shouted. Some cheered for, a few quietly cheered for, bets were placed, predictions were made. Almost everyone expected the human to lose. Found later that night. The half had been watching her since the entrance examination, and he had grown to respect her even though he did not fully understand her. "This is a mistake," he said. "Is not like the others. He has trained with military combat instructors since childhood. His implants give him strength and speed beyond any natural being. You cannot win." "Maybe," said, "but I will not run." "Why pride, stubbornness?" "No," looked at him with calm eyes. "Because humanity needs to know that we belong here, that we are not prey, that we are not inferior. If I run from this fight, every human who comes after me will be seen as a coward." Stared at her. "You would die for your species' reputation." "I would do much more than die," said quietly. "I would win." The next day at sunset, the grand arena was packed. Thousands of students filled the floating seats. Instructors watched from private boxes. Even the headmaster's presence could be felt, an invisible weight of attention. Entered first. He wore light combat armor that highlighted his enhanced physique. His eyes glowed faintly with optical implants that could track movements faster than any natural eye. He moved with the confidence of someone who had never known defeat. Then entered. She wore simple training clothes. No armor, no weapons, just a human girl, small and plain, walking into an arena designed to destroy her. The crowd murmured, some laughed, others fell silent. Instructor stepped forward to officiate. His voice echoed across the arena. The crucible has been invoked and accepted. The rules are simple. Fight until one cannot continue. Any method is permitted. Any weapon is permitted. There is no time limit. There is no mercy. He looked at both fighters. Begin. Attacked immediately. He moved so fast that most eyes could not follow him. His fist connected with his chest and sent her flying across the arena. She hit the ground hard and slid through the dirt. The crowd cheered, first blood too. Stood up slowly. Her chest hurt. Something inside her was probably broken. She ignored it. Attacked again and again and again. For 3 minutes, he dominated the fight completely. His enhanced speed let him strike from any angle. His reinforced fists hit like hammers. His combat implants predicted every move tried to make. She could not land a single blow. But she would not fall. Every time knocked her down, she stood back up. Every time he drew blood, she kept fighting. Every time he thought she was finished, she proved him wrong. The crowd grew quiet. Something was changing. Was breathing harder now. His attacks were slightly slower. His movements were slightly less precise. He had expected to defeat the human in seconds, minutes at most, but the fight continued. "Why won't you stay down?" he demanded, hitting her again. Spat blood onto the ground. Her face was bruised. Her lip was split. One of her eyes was swelling shut. And she was smiling. "Humans do not quit," she said. "It is not in our nature." She rushed forward. Something had changed in her movements. She was no longer trying to predict attacks. She had given up on defense entirely. Now, she was attacking with everything she had. Her fist struck his body with precise accuracy, not his armored chest, not his reinforced limbs. She targeted his joints, his throat, the gaps in his armor, places where even enhanced beings were vulnerable. This was human combat, not the refined techniques of advanced civilizations. This was something older, something developed over thousands of years of warfare on a death world. Implants could not predict her movements because they were not in any database. No species fought like this. It was chaotic, it was brutal, it was terrifying. For the first time in his life, felt fear. He tried to create distance but would not let him. She closed in again and again, ignoring his blows, trading damage for damage. And while his enhanced body could deliver more punishment, her human body could take more. Humans were endurance predators. They had evolved to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They could run farther than any animal on Earth. They could push through pain that would stop other species. They could keep going long after their bodies should have given out. Did not know this. He had never faced a human before. The fight lasted 15 minutes. By the end, both fighters were covered in blood. Both could barely stand. But when the dust settled, it was on his knees. Stood over him, breathing heavily. Her body was a mess of wounds and bruises. Her right arm hung at a strange angle, clearly broken. Blood ran down her face from a cut on her scalp. She extended her left hand toward. "Good fight," she said. The arena was completely silent. No one could believe what they had just witnessed. Looked up at the human girl, the girl who should have been prey, the girl who should have lost, the girl who had beaten him through nothing but pure, stubborn, relentless will. He took her hand. She helped him to his feet. The silence broke. Some students cheered. Others just stared in shock. Instructors whispered to each other. The galaxy's understanding of humanity was being rewritten in real time. Instructor approached them both. His old face showed something that might have been respect. "Winner," he announced, "Park of Earth." nodded once, then her legs gave out and she collapsed. The last thing she saw before darkness took her was the stars through the arena's dome, distant lights in an infinite universe. Humanity was no longer invisible. Now everyone would know what they were capable of. Woke in the medical bay 3 days after her victory. Her body was wrapped in healing fields that accelerated her already remarkable recovery. She opened her eyes slowly and found Lyra sitting beside her bed. "You are insane," Lyra said. "Completely and totally insane." "I won," replied. "You almost died. Your heart stopped twice during surgery. You had 7 broken bones, internal bleeding in 3 organs, damage to your spine. Any other species would be dead." "But I am not." Lyra's glow flickered with frustration. "That is exactly my point. You are not dead. You should be dead, but you are not, and that terrifies everyone." Sat up slowly. Pain ran through her body, but she ignored it. Pain was an old friend. "What has been happening while I was recovering?" Lyra hesitated. Everything has been happening." She explained what had missed. The recording of the crucible had spread across the galaxy within hours. It had been viewed billions of times. Analysts broke down every moment of the fight. Military strategists studied its techniques. Scientists examined her biometric data with growing alarm. The Galactic Council had called an emergency session to discuss the human question. "They are scared," Lyra said. "The galaxy has always believed that humans were primitive, harmless. Now they have seen what one human can do. They are asking themselves what an army of humans could do." Thought about this. She was just one person, one student at an academy, but she represented something larger. She represented a species that refused to stay small. "What is the council saying?" she asked. "Some want to classify Earth as a threat. Others want to form an alliance with humanity before it is too late. There is fighting and arguing. No one knows what to do." Stood up from the medical bed. Her legs were weak, but they held her. "Then I should probably give them something to think about." In the weeks that followed, became the most famous student in Prime Academy's history. Ambassadors from distant empires requested meetings with her. Military commanders asked to observe her training. Scientists begged for samples of her DNA. She refused most of them. She was not a specimen to be studied. She was not a weapon to be recruited. She was a student, and she intended to finish her education. But she did speak to reporters. She did give interviews. And in every conversation, she delivered the same message. "Humans are not a threat," she would say. "We do not want war. We do not want conquest. We simply want respect. We want to be treated as equals in the galactic community." Some believed her, others did not, but everyone listened. Back at the academy, everything had changed. Students who had once mocked humans now studied Earth's history with desperate curiosity. They learned about persistence hunting, the ancient technique humans had used to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They learned about pattern recognition, the ability that let humans predict threats and opportunities with frightening accuracy. They learned about pack bonding, the deep emotional connections humans formed that made them willing to die for each other. They learned about human warfare, the endless conflicts that had shaped the species, wars that lasted generations, battles fought with ever more destructive weapons. Humans had been killing each other for thousands of years, and through that violence, they had become the most dangerous species their planet had ever produced. Minyu approached in the library one evening. He sat across from her and was quiet for a long time. "I tried to read your mind again," he admitted. "From a distance, I wanted to understand you better." "What did you find?" "Chaos, but organized chaos. Your mind is like a storm with a purpose. Every thought serves a function. Every memory builds towards something." Smiled slightly. "Human minds evolved to solve problems. We never stop thinking, never stop planning, never stop looking for advantages. It is exhausting just to observe." You get used to it. Joined their group next. The noble who had once dismissed humans now treated with careful respect. She brought tactical simulations and combat analyses, and the three of them spent hours studying together. "I have a question," said one night. "After everything you have shown us, why are humans still peaceful? With your abilities, you could have conquered your planet 1,000 times over. Why did you not expand more aggressively into the galaxy?" Considered the question. "Humans fight each other," she said. "That is true, but we also love each other. We form families. We build communities. We create art and music and stories. We are not just warriors, we are dreamers." She looked out the window at the stars. "When humans finally left Earth, we were not looking for worlds to conquer. We were looking for friends. We were hoping that somewhere out there, we would find others who understood what it meant to be alone in a vast universe." Joined them the next day, completing their small group. The half had once seen as a curiosity. Now he saw her as an ally. "The galaxy is changing because of you," he told her. "Some of that change is good. Some of it is dangerous. There are those who want to destroy humanity before you become too powerful. There are others who want to use you as weapons." "I know," said. "Humans have faced this before. On our own world, different groups tried to destroy or control each other. We survived. We always survive." On graduation day, stood before the entire academy. 3 years had passed since she had arrived as a scared girl from a death world. Now she was the top-ranked student in her class, above in Minu and everyone else. The headmaster's presence filled the hall. "Park of Earth," the ancient being said, "you have shown us things we did not expect. You have challenged our assumptions. You have proven that potential cannot be measured by size or natural ability. It is measured by will." The audience was silent. "What do you plan to do now?" the headmaster asked. Stepped forward. She looked out at the thousands of faces watching her. Some were afraid, some were curious, some were hopeful. "Humanity spent centuries looking up at the sky," she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "We wondered if we were alone. We dreamed of the stars. We imagined what we might find out there." She paused. "Now we know we are not alone. And I think it is time the galaxy learned what we are really capable of. Not as conquerors, not as threats, but as partners, as friends, as equals." Behind her, through the crystalline dome, something appeared in the sky. Ships. Human ships. Dozens of them, then hundreds, then thousands. The first human fleet emerging from hyperspace with precise coordination. They did not come with weapons ready. They did not come in battle formation. They came with lights blazing in the patterns of welcome. Earth's answer to a universe that had underestimated them. The academy fell into stunned silence. Smiled. "We have been alone for a long time," she said. "We have faced predators and ice ages and plagues and wars. We have survived everything our planet could throw at us. And now we are here, ready to face whatever the galaxy has in store." She raised her hand toward the fleet above. "Humanity is not asking for permission. We are not begging for acceptance. We are simply announcing our arrival. We are here. We are strong. And we are not going anywhere." Lyra stepped forward and stood beside her. Then Minu. Then, one by one, students moved to stand with the human girl who had changed everything. The era of isolation was over. The era of humanity had begun. And the galaxy would never be the same.